Town Council meeting to order for 7 o'clock Thursday, January the 25th, 2024. This meeting obviously is being held in person, and it can be viewed on local cable channel 1303 or on the internet by accessing the town website at bucksportmaine.gov, clicking on Watch Meetings and selecting Town Council. Questions or comments may be submitted prior to or during the meeting by emailing slassard@bucksportmaine.gov or during the meeting by calling 469-7368. This would be a great time to check your cell phones or mobile devices and make sure they're on vibrate or silent. And I apologize for the mask. I don't apologize for the mask, but influenza A is going around, and while I don't believe I have it yet, I don't want to spread it if I do. So, yeah, absolutely. Roll call. George.
Mark Eastman.
Here.
Paul Goffin.
Here.
Tracy Hare.
Here.
Mayor Bissonette.
Here.
Dan Ormsby.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Bishop.
Here.
Ed Rankin.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to extend our thanks to Spectrum and to the IT people. Jim Morrow, Dylan was here until 10:30 last night. We had a failure of a portion of the cable, the fiber that feeds the PEG channel. And we reported to Spectrum yesterday morning when it occurred, and they told us that they could get here to look at it on Monday. And Jim Morrill notified them that we were expecting to have a meeting Thursday night, and a young man from Spectrum showed up at 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon and was here till 10:30 last night with Dylan, and then they were back today to get this repaired. So I want to extend our thanks. Our IT contract is worth gold with our Suite 25 because they're so good, and I have to give credit where it's due, and Spectrum was extremely responsive and came and addressed the situation. So I just wanted to, we wouldn't be live tonight if it wasn't for them.
Very good. Thank you, Sue. Next item on the agenda is presentation of any town council recognitions. Would just like to take a moment and recognize the passing of former councilor Robert Carmichael Sr. As I'm sure anybody that spent any amount of time in Bucksport knows, Bob Carmichael was a football coach here in town for many years. Our football field is named after him. He was a teacher at Bucksport High School for many years, as well as athletic director. He was a good man. I like Bob quite a bit. He was nice to me on days when he didn't have to be, many years ago when I was on the school board. So I appreciated him very much for that. And I wish his family, Peggy and Jerry Ann and Rob and Jeff and John and
Jenny.
Thank you, Jenny, our best wishes. I'd like to have a moment of silence. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mark. All right. Next item is consider minutes of previous meetings. We have town council minutes from January the 11th, 2024.
Motion to approve. Second.
Questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Next is receive and review correspondence. We do have one Verona police call on January the 6th. Any questions? Next is ordinances to consider or introduce. Not seeing any. Discussion items. They aren't listed here, but I know we had several committee meetings, and I don't want to forget them. So, right, so we have the committee. I wanted to talk about the committees that we have that are outside of.
You can just do it right here after. This is the committees you had asked for. We can then give their reports.
Sounds like a plan. Yep, thank you. So the first item under discussion items is the Buck Memorial Library activity and program update.
Did you get one? Yes. Okay.
Good evening. So this is our quarterly report and in January, this is the time of year that I get to do what Sue probably does most of, which is statistics in a very big way. We compile our statistics. They get moved up to the state level, then the state compiles all of the public library statistics that then go up to the federal level, which helps pay for Network Maine and for a lot of the things that all the public libraries benefit from. So I'm just gonna quickly run through some of these. We continue to grow. We had 8,418 people use the library last year. We hosted or participated in 134 programs, which resulted in 2,713 attendees. As of January 24th, and actually that has changed, we now have 1,621 people registered for library cards. More people are coming in every week and registering. A lot of these are people who are new to the community or who have heard the word on the street that we have an active bathroom and story time and all the other things that were not really present for a long time. The chart that you see in front of you, the state library uses a value use calculator that was developed in Massachusetts to give communities a greater sense of what a public library can do for a community. So on the left-hand column, you see that we circulated 4,106 adult books, and that resulted in a value of services to the community of $90,332. I'm not going to go through all of these, but based on the total calculations for the 11,043 items that circulated out of our library last year, our total savings for the town was $194,732. To kind of translate that in a more personal way, we issue library cards to anybody from 5 years or up. So a family of 4, if they check out 10 items each, that's 40 items. Translated at that borrowing time, they're saving about $720 by coming to the library. We did not do an annual campaign last year because we were too busy renovating the library. So we are now going to embrace February, which is a national time for Love Your Library Month. We are going to be doing a lot of fundraising with 2 events at the Alamo. The first, we are showing the film House of Sand and Fog, which was based on a book written by Andre Dubus. Andre Dubus, who has even been on Oprah, is coming 2 weeks later, and we'll be doing an author talk. At both events, we will have a silent auction and raffles of a lot of really unique items that have been contributed by members of the community, in addition to gift cards from local businesses. Another thing to note is that with the recent storms that we experienced, we had Wi-Fi. So we ended up having a lot of people come in and use the library for hours at a time because their spectrum was down. And now that Vport Works has closed, we're seeing an uptick in remote workers using the library for many hours at a time. And, you know, we don't have open meeting rooms, or, you know, we don't have any separate meeting rooms. That's kind of a goal. And finally, I will just say that our summer reading program this year will be running from June 8th to July 13th. We are going to do the theme Read, Renew, Repeat. We'll have a free film at the Alamo as a kickoff event. And then our final event will be our second Shark Day party, which was a huge success last year. So I don't know whether you have any questions, but here's your quarterly report.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just have a comment. I was at a library recently, Jessup Memorial, and
Oh, yes.
Bucksports got a great reputation as an the Renaissance library. So It was really nice to hear that, and I don't think they realized that I lived in Bucksport when they were saying it, but
Yeah, so, that is something I should also point out to all of you, because this is something that, is really near and dear to my heart. The Hancock County Library Directors have been meeting regularly for many years, and when I came on board, I was invited to start meeting with them as well. We have been, as a group, very unhappy with the cloud library service, which is the ebook and audiobook service that is provided by the state, because it doesn't work with Kindles. There are wait times of like up to a year for the latest Patterson book or Louise Penny book or things like that. So we started talking, and we have gone into an agreement. It's a 5-year agreement to share our resources, pool our resources, and we now have Libby Overdrive. And Libby is the one that everybody loves because it works with Kindle and everything else. And this will be exclusive to Hancock County library users. So, you know, you can download the Libby app, put in your barcode, and have access to books in a much more timely manner. And they work on your Kindle. And then in addition to that, we have pooled our resources, and not only are we offering a free version of the New York Times every day, but I will also be adding the Wall Street Journal in a few weeks, so.
Is that Libby? Or
Libby, Libby. Yep, it's the Libby app, and it's terrific. It's really a game changer. A lot of our elderly population read only on Kindle, and cloud doesn't play nicely with Kindles, so it was a big deal for us.
So for somebody to access that, they just have to have a library card?
That's exactly right. They have to have a library card either with me or with one of the other participating Hancock County libraries. And
Yep.
so all of that information is freely available on my website. But, you know, if you're a Blue Hill user, you're having the same access as a Bucksport user. So it's really a big deal. And it's been a lot of meetings, but I think it's kind of helped us realize, you know, that we can kind of continue the conversations that we were having, you know, every couple months, and now we're meeting like every 2 or 3 weeks to kind of hammer out the details, and it's been really refreshing. And because I'm kind of the poor one in the group, I'm actually making out in terms of what I have to pay for the New York Times, because my budget is way lower than MDI's libraries, including the Jessup's. Where I ended up paying more than some of the more wealthy libraries on MDI is that my service population is higher. We have 7,000. So I had to pay the higher amount for Libby, but I'm getting a bigger bargain with New York Times and Wall Street Journal. So it kind of ends up okay in the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is other committees that include town councilors. I know that where we've had a shift on some committees, I just wanted to make sure that everybody was on committees that they wanted to be, and just make sure we had a list. And so there are some committees listed here, one of which I know was talked about this evening, and we can talk about in a little bit. Please don't let me forget anybody, but if I'm not mistaken, presently right now on the Recreation Committee, it's Mark? Okay.
I believe so, yeah.
Do we have any representation at present on that Bucksport Bay Healthy Community?
Jim Morrison was.
Okay.
We don't have a representative right now. They would like us to have one, but Jim was the last one.
Okay. Is there any interest in that committee at this time? Do you know how often they meet?
Monthly,
do
Via
you know what
Zoom.
time they meet? Is it,
like 4:30.
I could be on that one.
Okay.
Actually, tentatively, my new job, I have to check. I
Sure.
forget that I'm not
Yeah.
gonna be the boss.
It's an adjustment.
Give it time.
If the time works well, I'm happy
Okay.
to do it.
Absolutely, okay. Bucksport next, Tracy, I know you've been on that committee for home, and I go to those meetings when I can. And there's some shifting being done on the Bucksport next committee, but I'm happy to remain on that committee. If there's anybody else that would like to be, that's fine too.
I'm on 4 of these, so I think
Right.
I'm good.
Yep. Cemetery, I haven't had any takers.
I'm still on it.
Mark is on that committee, so we're good there. Waterfront Committee,
If we need representation, I'll be interested in that one.
okay,
I'd be interested in that one
I
as
thought
well.
so. Thank you. We'll talk about the Playground Committee in a minute. Solar Committee, I believe, Tracy, you had mentioned an interest in that.
Actually, the community resilience
Okay.
was the one I said.
Thank you.
I'm already on solar.
I believe I'm on solar as well. We haven't met in years. I think it's pretty
No.
cool.
But we have to, because we're supposed to be doing language during a moratorium.
And for the baseball field wall, I have Ed.
Yeah, and can we,
I would
I
be
think we
too.
should change the name of that,
Okay?
just to the baseball field committee. I
I'd
think there's
actually
more
be
to deal
interested
with
in
than
that.
just the
What's
wall.
that?
I'd be interested.
Okay.
I agree. And you as well.
Yeah.
Got it. Just a reminder, this wasn't on here, but Councilor Ormsby is on the Superintendent Search Committee, and that's gonna be.
When's that gonna be starting?
It's
So
our
we did.
Not much involved there, though, is it?
Anybody aware of any committees that we've forgotten? If so, just let me know and we'll handle them. Good, and I know we elected chairs for the other committees this evening that we met. And we also have, those three meetings, one of which we named people to the Playground Committee. So why don't we work backwards and start with the Services Committee? And I believe that's Ed.
All right, we just recommend appointing the following people to the playground committee. Rich Rotella, Sean Gagan, Ed Rankin, Derek Cole, Jen Chiavelli, William Foster, Crystal Harlan, Mark Eastman, Emily Fitzgerald, Hugh Powell, Gene Powell.
Great. Any questions there? I know that's coming up later on, so. Okay. Let's see, why don't we do regulatory review? I believe that's Paul.
We talked about the town-owned property use policy. We actually had a great conversation about it. We're gonna come up with uses. I think that's what, uses, to email to her, and we're gonna have a meeting actually at 5 o'clock before our next meeting on the 8th.
Before the goals and,
Yeah.
okay. Will we be ready for discussion and decision at that? Do we anticipate?
There will be a draft that they will discuss that evening that
Okay.
will be put on the agenda for a first reading of the council. If they don't complete it, you just won't have a first reading of it, but there will be a draft that they will be discussing at the next meeting.
Great. Anything else from regulatory review?
Nope.
Thank you.
That was it.
And infrastructure, which I believe is Mark now.
Yeah, we had a lengthy discussion about the potential of leasing patrol cars and made a recommendation to the council to take the matter up.
Okay, that will be at our next regular council meeting. Thank you. Okay. Next is agenda items. The first item is Resolve 2024-32, the sewer commitment from October 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2023.
Motion approved?
Second.
Second, questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Next is Resolve 2024-33 to approve the sewer interest rate for 2024.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Option second, questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Resolve 2024-34 to approve the budget meeting schedule for 2024-2025.
I've done the same thing I've done every year, which is drive everything to Thursday night, and it just fills in the month of April, Thursdays, pretty much.
Any identified issues? Not scheduled?
I have one with just the first one,
Okay.
but that's it.
Okay.
I'm happy to catch up if it's just the first meeting.
What do you think, Sue?
Does anybody else have any other, conflicts? Because if you don't, what,
Sorry.
that's
I
all
saw
right.
the April 18th.
That's the day I turned 49,
What's that?
so I'll be here.
Congratulations.
Yeah, right.
Out in Florida.
You're in Florida, yeah. I'm not sure with 7 of you, if I'm gonna be able to
Right.
corral
Yeah,
you
no.
Yeah.
all
It's,
for every single one.
Mhm.
The first one is basically Public Works and the first draft of the budget.
Right, yeah, so, and I could
which-
be late. I'll actually be at Jessup Library in Bar Harbor, but I could get here late, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
'cause this one
Okay.
starts at 6. This
Yeah.
is an off meeting night, so
Yeah.
that
And
start at 6.
I'll read the material well and just get away to have input.
Yeah, well, everyone will have their book ahead of time, so if there are questions and stuff, we can,
can I zoom into that?
what's that?
Can I, the 18th?
Zoom.
Or you can Zoom and watch. Everything's on video, so if somebody's somewhere else, you can Zoom and watch. It's not an attendance because that's,
Right. No, that's fine.
but you could certainly be aware of what the conversation was.
That's fine.
And since it's all
It's all recorded.
videoed and archived, even if you didn't make it, you can watch the video as
Yeah.
well afterwards, so.
Good.
For the record, I took every other Thursday out for the whole year, but this one.
Probably not a bad plan.
Yeah.
So we'll just stick with this one.
Yes,
This-
the 18th, I should be back in time pending accurate flights, but I should be back for that.
Depending on flights,
Yeah,
so
I,
Steve will not
I
be.
won't be.
There's 2 people on the team. That's where that's going.
I've got 24 hours to get here from what's
And the
scheduled now, so.
18th is the social
18th
service.
is social services, so that's
Yeah.
a big,
Yeah,
Yep.
it's the
that's a
marathon.
long one. But,
I'll stay home. My wife can go.
oh, don't do that. I'm not gonna be responsible for breaking up families here. So that, okay, great.
I'm sure there will be other issues too, and we'll work them out. So,
It's like herding cats.
Yep.
7 schedules.
Yep.
So you were going, did you,
I believe there is a motion
Second.
and a second. Okay. Any other questions?
When was it?
All those,
I
oh, there
didn't
was,
think there was a motion.
no motion?
I'll make a
Okay.
motion.
I'll second it.
Second. Questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. All right. That's what I get for thinking. Resolve 2024-35 to approve the fire department forestry grant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. All right. Now, we have resignations, appointments, assignments, and elections. And as we discussed from the Services Committee, we have a list of names for the Playground Committee. I will do these I will do Councilor Rankin separate. For the Playground Committee, we have Rich Rotella, Sean Gagan, Derek Cole, Jen Chiavelli, William Foster, Crystal Harlan, Mark Eastman, and Emily Fitzgerald.
and you and Jean Powell.
And Hugh, thank you, and Hugh and Jean Powell.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Questions? All's in favor? Rich?
I was just gonna make a suggestion where you read off Mark's name, maybe if you do a separate one for Mark and Mr. Rankin, just.
Oh, yeah. My apologies. I'll be okay. Yep, thank you, Rich.
Motion
So,
to rescind the last?
Second.
okay. Thank you. So we'll do Rich, Rotella, Sean Gagan, Derek Cole, Jen Chiavelli, William Foster, Crystal Harlan, and Emily Fitzgerald.
Motion
And
to-
Hugh and
And
Jean.
Hugh and Jean Powell.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed. As well, we'll do, we have Ed Rankin,
Motion to approve?
second.
Are you gonna add Mark to that?
I'll do them separate.
Oh, okay,
Yep,
I'm tracking.
So that they can each vote. Yep. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained. And then Mark Eastman.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstained. Thank you. That wasn't too bad. Let's see. Approval of quitclaims, discharges, and deeds. Not seeing any. Which means the next item is the town manager report.
Yes, I have one. As usual, I can't.
You have one
I
right there, too.
find it, I found it. So the one-year senior property tax stabilization program, in which the state was supposed to reimburse communities for the difference between actual taxation and stabilized bills, was supposed to have provided that reimbursement by 12/31/23. We received notification this past week that the program was significantly underfunded and that we would only receive 56% of the amount we should have received until either the governor includes additional funding for the program in the supplemental budget, or a bill is passed in the legislature to fund the difference. I shared my annoyance with Representative Russell, and he reached out to legislative leadership. And it's my understanding that it should be addressed sometime in the spring. And the irony of this is that if this were taxpayers and it went beyond June, liens would be placed. Instead, it's the state of Maine that owes the money, and we have little recourse other than to wait until they. It may have been mentioned when this program started that the amount of money allocated would not touch what it would cost to do it. But anyway, so we have 56% of it, but not the 100% that we should have had. We're in the 6th year in which the solar array at our highway garage has been there. And this is the year that we have the opportunity to buy the system from Vision. The cost of that purchase in this year is $89,057. At the present time, the array generates an average of 80,767 kilowatt hours per year. And since the array is owned by Revision, we pay them a per kilowatt hour fee instead of paying Central Maine for power that came across the grid. If the town purchased the system, the savings from the CMP rate, which is 0.16631 per kilowatt hour, would be $13,432.33 a year. That translates to a payback on the purchase of 6.6 years, and that assumes that the electric rate doesn't change, and that's about as likely as nothing. So this is a base savings. The array has a 25-year life, and there are 19 and a half years left at that current rate. Following payback of the purchase price, the town would realize additional savings over the life of the array of $173,277.06. There's a spreadsheet that I attached here that showed the calculations, and my question is if whether you would like me to include this as part of this year's budget. The credits run out for revision on this, and it may change hands to someone else if the town doesn't. The town will have an annual option to acquire it, but back when the town agreed to do this, the understanding was that at the time of the buyout, it's really in the best interest of the town to buy it out, get the savings annually from avoided costs.
These are very good numbers, and I like it. My question is, on the backside of it, in 19 and a half years, when that is out, if there's a disposal or a replacement or a regen of those panels, is there anything that we're gonna be solely liable for, or will they participate any disposal of them
If we
for us.
buy it, it's ours.
Okay.
And along with that comes the responsibility of
It's maintenance.
its maintenance and its eventual decommissioning.
Okay.
Is there anyone opposed to this being included in the budget, in budget conversations?
I mean, just,
No.
okay, Skate Bucksport is applying for a grant to do a study to determine a design and best location for the skate park. They have asked if the town will write a letter of support for that grant. The grant would provide funding for a concrete park designer to assist the group in a design process as well as evaluation of potential locations, which would also include the town because the locations would be public property. And since this is outside the normal, routine letters of support for equipment and those kind of things, I thought I would ask the council if you have any objection if I write a letter of support for Skate Bucksport for this grant.
I think we should, absolutely.
Okay, great, thank you. I almost hate to mention this because it's been quiet for a while, but I wrote a letter to the DEP this week as a follow-up to the letter they wrote to AIM requesting that a closure plan be filed in January of 2024, reiterating the support of the town for the closure of that facility. I have not yet had a response. I attached a copy to your, and along with the letter, I included to the DEP emails that had transpired between AIM and the town a year ago in regard to this. And the last contact we had with AIM in regard to this was on March 8th of 2023. So I sent it to the DEP staffer who's in charge of this project, and I also copied the commissioner with the reminder that the town also now has a licensing ordinance of its own that, anyway, it's January, they were supposed to have submitted a plan, they haven't. I thought it in the town's best interest to give that a little push to see if we could get them to do that. So I'll keep you posted. That just went out this week. I signed the contract documents for the MPI approved for Central Street. That work is planned for spring, early summer of 2024. And it will be great to have that work done and be able to have Central Street turned over as a town road. Improvements to Central Street have been underway for the past several years, and we're almost to the end of that one, which will greatly improve it. A reminder that dogs need to be licensed by January 31st, 2024 to avoid the additional $25 fine imposed by the state that would need to be paid here if you wait till after that date. And 5 Mount Olive Heights. I am pleased to report that the final sale to the Jellisons of 5 Mount Olive Heights is happening on Monday. I met with Mrs. Hollowell, the former owner, today, and she signed off on all of the paperwork related to that so that the Jellisons will be able to have a clear deed moving forward. And if any of you haven't been part of the journey to try to get here, it's involved federal agencies and huge liens and the town interceding and all sorts of things, but that lot, once sold, will have a home on it in the neighborhood, and it's a good outcome for what's been a interesting long-term
At its moments, yeah.
process. I had one other thing, but I had it on a little green sticky, and now I lost the sticky, so I'm not, that's it for now.
Okay. Thank you. Next is set public hearings and or hold public hearings and approval of any licenses or permits, or permits. Wow. Okay, I'm not seeing anything there. Next, after that, is discussion of items not on the agenda for the council and the public. We'll start with the public.
Bucksport, just to piggyback on what Sue was talking about earlier on this letter of August 4th. It was dated August 4th, where DEP is asking, as you know, not only to close it, but also to remediate, to begin some reconstruction of certain things. I think there's 7 or 8 things that they asked them to do and that should have been started or done. So I would ask the council, not only just where's the closure plans, which have been mummed to, but also they were supposed to begin processes like clean out the leachate pond, reconstruct it perhaps. I won't bore you with all of them, but there's 7 or 8 things that the DEP asked them to do. Obviously, those things also have not been addressed, and I think it is time for this council to start pushing a little bit on asking, why aren't you fixing this thing up as you've been instructed? To expect the DEP by themselves to do this is our good friends at Juniper Ridge have told us is very difficult. They're understaffed. Their ability to, their licensing agent, hard to get them to heavily monitor or to get them to fix things. So I think the council needs to protect Bucksport's interest, needs to get involved in a little more way other than just where is the closure plans. We've got remediation here that they were supposed to be doing, and they're not doing it. And so we're contributing to major pollution to the Penobscot River, to surrounding areas. There's things happening that they were asked to fix, and they haven't been doing it. So I would ask the council to be active at this point and start to say, we need to protect our interests. Thank you.
Mr. White, just to let you know, my letter talked about their failure to remediate
Several things.
One
a
of
whole
the-
a list.
Yeah, one of the things I was most concerned about is they had to immediately put a pile of soil for fire remediation, and if we could find out if that happened, because that's an immediate safety concern that they were supposed to do as soon as possible. Out of all of the other lists, I think that poses a risk right now to public safety.
Well, the fact that they removed the fire suppression system makes
Yeah.
that even more
Yeah. Is
of a concern.
what can a council do to sort of put pressure on them?
We've started with this letter, response from the DEP. I'm not sure in our ordinance, because they're not operating, it's idle. What steps we can take to, I think the pressure that we have is on DEP they're the regulatory agency responsible for, meeting those standards. Which is why I started with them, but as I said, it's been 2 days, I have not heard back, but when I do, that will give us a better idea of what the path forward may look like.
I mean, your letter's got teeth in it, for sure. So hopefully they'll pay attention.
Yes.
The aim may be idle. The landfill itself is not idle. The landfill is continuing to do its process. It isn't getting better. So, it's our responsibility. We have a responsibility as a town to do the best we can to clean up to help clean up the mess that's there, because it is. We have a responsibility to the river, to our towns, to the people who live close by, and to Silver Lake, which is 4 minutes of a mile behind it.
I just remembered my green sticky, which relates to this, in that I've been asked to participate in a conversation with a group in Orland who has been approached or contacted by AIM about interest in acquiring the water system that Bucksport hasn't been contacted about, but other entities have been contacted by, it's Bucksport Mill LLC, not AIM, but by that subsidiary about divesting itself of the water system here in town. And I agreed to be part of that, but that is a hugely expensive and technically challenging idea, you know, the
That would be
dams and
all the dams and everything, right?
the whole thing.
Pipelines.
The pipeline that goes, anyway, so being that, but it is an indicator that,
They're leaving.
that's really the last thing, other than the landfill, that Bucksport Mill owns in Bucksport, is that water system. And so Orland is not the only entity that was approached in terms of acquisition of portions of that system. But I say that because that action gives, I think, gives us more rationale, shall we say, evidence with DEP that this is not a company that's interested in maintaining anything here. I think they're looking to not be here, but that landfill has had very little to nothing done on it since it was acquired. Anyway, I see it as related, because if you're trying to sell off everything you own, then,
Maybe you're headed out of town.
yeah,
Have they been paying taxes on the landfill?
absolutely. Taxes are current. I'm not saying that they have not paid their taxes. I'm saying that that's.
Same company. Oh, totally different.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes, thank you, Ralph Chapman, Bucksport. And a quick addendum here, one of the things that I thought our new ordinance relative to the landfill licensing processes had in it that was of a specific advantage, well, two things. One is the town is supposed to get copies of every filing that they make to DEP. So the fact that we don't see the filing is additional evidence that they're not filing with the DEP. But the second is that the town has enforcement rights. And whether the enforcement rights in our current ordinance can enforce this specific matter, I'm not a lawyer. I'll guess the enforcement rights are there and do give our town that right to enforce this matter. And I would recommend that we do so as best we can. Thank you.
I will certainly check with our attorney on that.
So just, the letter was sent several days ago.
Yep.
At our next meeting, I would assume it would be safe to assume that we will have heard or not heard.
That's correct. I'm sure we will have heard before, by our next meeting.
Okay.
It went to the commissioner too. It won't be ignored.
Okay. Well, yeah, okay. We can have an update then.
Oh, I'll update as soon as I get a response.
Okay.
This is the first opportunity that I've had you together since I did it this week.
Sure.
I've got a few updates for you. I think, were you talking about the solar
No,
farm up there?
power
No,
plant.
power plant. Well,
I was asking about the power plant.
well, the solar farm, the Ameresco solar farm, we went up a few weeks ago after one of our store meetings, and at that point it was 90%. They had about 30 electricians up there, and about 90% complete, and they were expecting to have it done by the end of this month, January, and be online. But the end of this month, beginning of February, and be online by April. It was on the former log yard. Yeah, the former log yard.
Okay.
Up by the
Yeah, yeah.
landfill, so
Okay.
we've driven by up there a couple different times, so yeah, a lot of progress, so that should be done soon. give you an update on the Community Resilience Partnership that the town approved at its last meeting. The towns of Orland and Rhode Island have also signed on as well. So it looks like we're gonna have some good collaboration between the three communities, which will mean extra money towards the town.
He meant.
Verona Island.
Verona
Oh,
Island.
he said Rhode Island.
I thought-
Well, that's where I'm from.
Yeah.
I'm like, Rhode Island? That's a heck of a commute.
Making him hearing aids.
Verona Island and Orland and Bucksport. So we've got that.
Thank you.
The storm damage was tallied up by each of the departments and was able to get that submitted to Hancock County for our end. Unfortunately, insurance will not cover our damage, but you need to go through the insurance steps before MEMA, FEMA all get involved. So the representatives from Hancock County and from the department were visiting different locales in Hancock County. We weren't visited, but looking at the damage amounts that other towns submitted, I now know why. But I did hear back that we're not being excluded from the monies if they were to come. It's just that they needed to go hit the harder hit areas. So we had the town staff held its first meeting for the Bay Festival that will be presenting to the council after it's had its chance to run its course through all the department heads as well as the Economic Development Committee. We're looking at July 20th. We're going to be asking for a lot less money than we did last year, all while adding more activities. We were able to make enough last year to help propel us through there as well. So
Good news.
that's what we've been up to. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Rich. Anything else from the council or the public? Thank you. Let's see, upcoming public hearings, designation of topics for committee assignment and scheduling of committee meetings. If I remember correctly, we have regulatory review is going to be February the 8th at 5 p.m.
Yes.
Okay.
And at 5:30 that same night is goals and objectives.
Any other committee meetings that need to be? Oh, no.
We just filled the calendar with budget ones.
I know, yeah. All right. Last item is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second, all those in favor? Opposed. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.